And that working together is just amazing. So it's really been the goal and the direction is it took a while to work it out, how do we connect people with the subject and with each other in what now is probably the only subject that it doesn't create separation between people. Everyone agrees that this is the wrong thing. I don't care your politics or religion or whatever.
No matter what your belief system is.
In humanity, this is wrong.
Welcome to The Movement, a podcast to resource, empower, and develop leaders in the fight against human trafficking. Today we have Beth and David Reid.
You almost forgot my name.
You're sitting across from me. Your faces look familiar, but I'm not sure what your names are.
Something like that.
So they're the founders of redM, and we just kind of want to know what got you involved in the movement. How did this start? How did this come to fruition? Where did it start for you, Beth? What made you want to be in this fight?
It was at a point where my kids were both graduated out of high school, and I was really thinking, I really wanted to be there for my kids most of their life, and so I stayed home and worked at home and took care of them, and then they were going to be gone, so I'm like, what am I going to do with my life that's of consequence? And so I actually thought I was just going to think about that for a while and try to figure out something really that would be good fit for me. And I happened to go away to a women's conference, and I kind of said that little prayer, I hope something, really stands out of what I'm supposed to do while I'm at this women's conference.
Right.
I went to this conference. It was really empowering. It was really great. It was really helpful in so many ways. But the last day they had someone come and speak, and her name was Christine Kane, and she talked about human trafficking and the women that have been stuck in the sex trafficking and how pervasive it was around the world. And I'm sitting in my seat just crying, just not loudly crying, but just you couldn't stop
Weeping,
it. And it was so powerful to me that this is happening. And the thing I kept thinking is, where are their mothers? And so honestly, I felt like a shot in the heart. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Did you know what trafficking was before that? Before she talked about it?
I had seen a TV show with Mira Sorvino called Human Trafficking.
Okay.
And it's like a miniseries, and it is classic. It's about a 4-episode miniseries.
Okay.
And it was really powerful, and I remember seeing that thinking, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But what a story, but I didn't think anything about getting involved. But anyways, after I heard her speak, she has an organization called A21, and they are set up. They had a safe house in Greece, and they were helping a lot of Ukrainian girls and African girls that get stuck in it in Europe. I wanted to get involved and help out, and so afterwards I went up and talked to her and asked her if there was any way they could use somebody like me, which no experience, no training, just a desire to help. And I only knew how to do one thing, and that was I knew how to be a mom.
That's an important thing.
Yeah.
That's a transferable skill, too.
Yeah, it certainly is. I can mom a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could be a mom. I could maybe work in a safe house encouraging girls and making dinners, I had no idea what I could do. So I looked into doing that with them, with their A21. And when I talked to her after the meeting, she was like, here's my email, contact me and we'll get you with somebody in my organization and I'll talk to you about what you can do.
What year was that?
2010.
15 years ago. That's what kind of piqued your interest.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you started with?
I did look into it. I did meet her with some of her people. We go to Greece because we have family there. And we were in Greece, and David said, let's go and meet with the guy that runs A21 in Greece.
Okay.
Which was for you. I didn't say let's. I'm like, I will go with you and you can meet with. Because at this time, I'm like, I'm not there. But I could tell she was passionate and excited. In fact, I filmed her in a square right before she went to meet the people in A21. It was very emotional. It felt like a life moment. So I just interviewed her We've never shown anyone that video, but she was very moved. And so I think after the meeting, she was very sad. So she came out not because of the subject, but because they had said you would have to be here
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to do it. They took volunteers for 6 months or a year.
Right.
So I'd have to leave the
Drop
States.
your life, not see your family.
I was like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
we
I
weren't sure
was
what it
willing
meant.
to do whatever. But I also knew that David and I had resources. Maybe we could help them somehow. Of course, the first organization thing an organization needs is money.
Right.
So I'd already made a commitment to donate money to their donation. They had a donation button on their website.
Right.
I was intentional about doing
Financially contributing.
all the
yeah.
little things that could be done
Right.
that are obvious. You know, they ask people to donate. They ask people to spread the word.
Yep.
You know, things like that. They had like 21. They had a list of 21 things you could do.
Okay.
Contact your local government. You know, just things like that.
Right.
Educate yourself.
Okay.
You know, so I met with the guy there, and they said that would, and I was like, well, I don't think I can do that. I was interested in the whole concept of safe house recovery for aftercare. You know, because I didn't really see myself as somebody who would like get with the cops and find out where it's happening and then break down the
Right,
door.
right.
I'm just
Not that kind of girl.
Yeah. No. So, although in my heart I'm a lion, you know,
Yeah,
but in reality
absolutely.
I'm a pussycat.
Yeah.
But so I really just thought, wow, I guess I was wrong, you know. So I kind of felt sad about it, and we,
Defeated, deflated.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I really can't. I'm not useful. I started looking around Houston. I wonder if there's any human trafficking here.
Yeah.
Surprise, there is a lot.
Curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
not just
remember-
abroad.
I remember you sharing a newspaper article. I can remember the room. All these things are like distinct memories. But you showed me the newspaper article about the 14-year-old that was trafficked in the Houston Chronicle. And that was something. That was a moment.
Is that what hit your heart? Like what
No,
what was your
no,
moment? Like her heart
gosh.
was hit at that women's conference.
I
That
could see
speaker.
this was her thing. We were looking for an hour thing at the time. And I could see this was her thing, but I'm running around the world. I couldn't imagine myself in this space. I didn't understand it at all. So it was a longer journey for me. I supported, we would have, Beth started to work with Dottie first.
Well,
And
that's because Dottie is the one that wrote the article.
Ah, she wrote the 14-year-old trafficking article.
Yeah.
That-
And I saw her name. It was op-ed, actually.
Okay.
And she was saying Houston has to do more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and her email was there, and I emailed her. And then that's how it began a mentorship relationship where she
Okay.
really taught me a lot.
Yeah, you dove in deep then. Started doing, I would go to events with you, you'd be speaking, and then you were doing care, support, intervention. I don't even know I didn't know anything about how it was all happening. I just saw you going and doing things all the time, and I was trying to be supportive. So that was kind of the earlier experiences. And then you got involved with Redeemed. And I think that's where, I almost said her name, but there was a first lady who came and stayed with us. You remember that?
Yeah.
So that
What
was
do you
that
mean
was,
came and stayed with you? What
was,
do you-
you tell the story. I would drive you to the prison. So that's the
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't remember the whole story.
What happened was I looked specifically for aftercare. There was only one organization in Houston that did aftercare.
Okay.
And they had a safe house.
What's
And
that?
I
What's
thought-
that one called?
Redeemed Ministries.
Got it.
Redeemed meaning redeeming back their life,
Got it.
getting
Okay.
back what
And
was
they have-
lost to them.
They have a safe house where survivors can come.
Back then, it was that just their house?
No, it was a house that had been rented to us for $1 a month, rented to Redeemed
Oh, wow.
for
Okay.
$1 a month.
Okay.
So I got involved with volunteering with them. I did their volunteer class and got to know the leaders of that.
Direct survivor
Yeah.
support. Okay.
Yeah, direct. And then I would work as a weekend. I would go and stay. Just when they didn't have anybody, I would be.
You were a
a
house mom.
Yeah, like a house mom for the weekend.
Okay.
And I loved those girls.
Yeah.
And it was great. You know, it was great to meet them. It was great to learn about them and spend time with them, just spend time with them being normal. And
Yeah.
I loved cooking for people, so that was something I could do. And I also did some, like keeping records. I would drive around, find places where I suspected that were brothels, gather information to pass on to law enforcement.
Nice.
And things like that. So, but my real heart was aftercare. So I got involved with Redeemed, and then I went on their board. I was also on the board of another organization in Austin that helps immigrants that have been trafficked. That's always been a really concern of mine, is that these immigrants that are undocumented will come over the border,
right,
and often they're just exploited for either for work or for in the sex industry. And it was super dangerous. And so I was able to go on the board and be somewhat, I hoped, of a bit of a help, to that organization.
You got on the board for Redeemed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Redeemed and this other organization.
And this organization called the Bernardo Kohler Foundation.
Okay. That's the one in Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was right in the thick of it there.
And David was just watching you?
I would drive her to Austin. I was quite good at that.
I
was not involved. I mean, she would come out of the meetings, I'd ask questions, but, she was really in the subject. I was not. I just was encouraging her to do what she wanted to do.
And being a supportive husband.
Yeah, and then there was a case, Dottie asked me to help her with some of her cases, because she would get a lot of cases that somebody would say, I think this missing girl might be trafficked, or, or a parent would reach out to her and says, I think my child is being trafficked, or my adult daughter is being trafficked. And so she asked me, she said, I'm not in Houston, but this girl her mom has identified her as a trafficking victim, and she's in jail. And she's been jailed for a crime that her trafficker forced her to commit. So she said, would you go and visit her? Because she needs somebody to visit her and encourage her.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm all about that. There were a couple of girls that were in prison that I talked to, but this one we developed a significant friendship. So when she graduated from there, well, actually, she hadn't graduated from prison.
There's not a graduation ceremony.
We went back to
Congratulations.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, because when you leave prison, you don't know if you're going to have a job.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do?
It's even harder after you have a case, right, and a criminal record to get a job.
And
did she go through Redeemed?
Well, what I did was we went back to the judge. We found out that she could go to Redeemed instead of this women's prison.
Oh, wow.
And so we went back to the judge and we petitioned for her to come out early and be a part of this program.
Amazing.
And the judge said yes, because when she'd been convicted, it had never been told to the court that she did not want to commit that crime, but that he forced her to.
Yeah.
Because he said, I want you to rob this bank, and if you don't do everything I tell you, I'm going to kill your niece who's 3 years old.
Right. That's a compelling thing.
Yeah. And he told her to be on the phone while she was robbing the bank. And if she laid down the phone, that would it. He'd drive away and go get that kid. So she was like on the phone robbing the bank. And so the newspapers in Houston made fun of her when she was caught.
Wow.
And said, people can't get off their cell phones. Look, here's somebody robbing a bank on their cell phone. And she was on her cell phone to save her niece's life,
Wow.
I remember reading the story about that case, and then I met the girl.
And then you were her advocate to get her to Redeemed.
It was an honor to help her.
Yeah.
So anyways,
usually after someone's gone through the program, it's a hard transition as to how do I find life, and that was when the first time we had someone.
They asked for people to provide transitional housing, and they couldn't find somebody. And sometimes when they'd find transitional housing, it wouldn't work out because these girls, they lived a different life.
Well, it's hard to live with anyone, right? I mean, being married's hard, and then just adding a
Let's
a
do
third
that
person.
as the podcast.
adding anybody
funny.
to the mix is
Yeah,
difficult.
it's
I mean,
complicated.
it's hard to live with people. Having a roommate, anybody, it's
we
a
had
hard
kids
thing.
at home at the time.
Yeah, and then you had kids at the house, and
was
then dealing with
Chris
someone
and-
that's coming
No,
through this
my son
trauma.
was still
Chris was
there, but he
around,
was out of
still
high
was,
school,
so-
but he
Yeah.
was still there.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
But
That's a
for
lot.
me, that's the beginning of my real ever knowing anybody or anything.
Like being
'Cause everything
first-hand
else-
related. It was
right.
all second-hand through Beth.
Yeah.
Like,
So it
Beth's
becomes-
doing this.
becomes a friendship with someone who's in your home.
Yeah. That had to be impactful, right? Like,
It was a beginning, I would say, because for me, I'm very busy, and so someone's in my home and I'm getting to know them. It didn't feel nothing felt like a big deal for a long time.
It was just kind of secondary to...
It's like, I can do this. Like, we've always had people in our home, so we're a bit different that way. So we kind of felt like what we have isn't ours, you know, so we always felt like it was meant to be shared. But that was all pretty normal, but it was probably the second person we met. The first I didn't know was trafficking for a long time, and we just knew someone was in trouble and stayed with us. So this was the first time I knew and got to learn, you know, about and talk about, you know, clearing her record. She had to get the crime off her record to get some jobs.
Was she able to get it expunged?
She got the bank robbery, not the sex trafficking. So so it was an odd moment to be. She was very excited.
I think she got both of those off her record.
Oh, well, one day I came home and she said, I got it off my record, and she showed me her new clean record, which said sex trafficking, and I was like, oh, you meant the bank robbery.
Actually, we got it off years and years later.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it was a long story, her story, but I think it was the beginning for me of the journey, because we would have people come to the house who were going through Redeemed. Like I did art classes. We did different things, movie nights.
Yeah.
You did what?
Movie nights and art classes.
Art classes.
Yeah, we'd been blessed with a house that was big enough, you know, because it was a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
And both kids, my son was not always there, but he, you know, it was like...
Got an extra spot.
Yeah, there was extra room.
Yeah.
And we'd always had what we call lodgers, because David's British, and that's a normal thing over in Britain, lodgers.
Is that not what they say here? I don't even know.
They don't say lodgers.
Really?
I don't know what we would say, but it wouldn't be lodgers.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
There were some challenges with having somebody in your house that just came out of a program, but the first girl, she tried so hard to not ever put a foot wrong, and she really...
That's got to be hard to find your footing, right?
Yeah,
and coming through that, and then
we didn't put
relying on other people.
Yeah, we didn't put a lot on her either.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we're unusual like that. We're just like, live and let live. Like,
yeah.
So she was with us about 6 months, and then she was able to leave the state. The court let her leave the state, and she got to go home to her family.
Amazing. That's awesome that you guys had a hand in that.
Yeah, that was really the start of her life.
I think that's amazing that you guys are able to do that. And, you know, I feel like through redM, you guys have impacted even more people. We were counting earlier, you know, and reached out to Dottie, like, what's our number? Where are we? Yeah. And I mean, like, that's just one story, Beth. Like, that's just one person that you've impacted. And I think that's huge. And like, to where you are today, like, how did that progression, like, how did that growth come to be? Because today the number is what, 38, right?
38 since 38. In the last few years, yeah. There's probably more before that, but
so since redM's been counting, you're not even counting that in your number. Like, that story doesn't count in the number. Right. So where we are right now for redM is 38, right? Yeah. 30 lives.
Well, and I like 38. That because it's people around us. You know, I wasn't expecting that.
We haven't not had 38 people in our home.
No.
Right.
No.
We've been able to assist them.
Right.
With their
interventions
lives,
of some sort.
Yeah. And I just want to know how it's went from, you know, that impactful moment of seeing that at that women's conference and it growing to what it is now. Because, I mean, you guys have redM chapters all over the United States, into Canada.
And Canada. We can't...
We have to include them, yes, so and the UK.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting international.
It is. It's too much of a story. Like, there's a lot that happens between, because for the first 6 years, that's really your story. Like, that's you.
Yeah.
Getting involved.
Finding footing, and
we had a couple other girls that had graduated from the Redeemed program. You know, stay with us. I was on the board of Redeemed for 5 years.
Okay.
Then you somehow, I don't know how you did that sleight of hand.
I actually said to David, I know I know you're very busy, but you've already been on boards that are to do with your business. How about if these people that have this ministry to these women, this aftercare group, they don't really understand how to get a board to work well, and the board people are all novices, and I'm a novice, really.
Right.
So
come give us some structure.
So I said, how about if I go off the board, because we can both be on the board. So I'll come off the board for a break, and you can go on the board.
Okay.
Would you be willing to do that? And he said, yes.
You warmed the seat up for him.
We got to know the leaders of Redeemed. I don't think I'd been anywhere. I hadn't been at the houses before, but we'd had people and engaged, and gone to events and different things. And so I think they had a burnout moment where they were just worn out. And we went over to eat with them, and I kind of connected well because everyone around them was pressuring them to come back. I think, I don't know.
Yeah. That's heavy work, right?
It is, and it's normal because if you don't take care of yourself in the process, you're going to burn out.
Right.
So at the time I was like, just so you know, you don't have to go back. Like, it will be okay. Things will work out.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah. And so your choice is, do I want to go back? And if you do choose to go back, do it very differently than what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said to me at the time, you're the only person who didn't have an agenda with us. Could you please join the board? Because we need that.
Yeah.
Someone who's just on our side and doesn't have an agenda. And I was like, sure. And my first day on the board, it was the first time I'd really been in that kind of a nonprofit environment. And my observations were these people need a lot of money. They're struggling. I mean, everyone who tries to do care work, it's very expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also hard to convince people to continually give to something that feels like all you're doing is maintaining. And the subject's heavy. So everyone I knew who was in this space knew each other but didn't have other friends because they had lost them. So there was just a heaviness of subject. And I was going through it too. I think, gosh.
It's not the most appealing.
I just realized there was something I did early. It was probably because you were identifying the brothels, because I made a film, and I have that still. I think I posted it on Facebook, but I made a film of massage businesses on 1960, the street.
Massage businesses that were not just
operating as
massage.
brothels.
Right.
Yeah, so Beth was doing the research.
Dark massage.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why we knew what they were is there is an online way to rate. People that use prostitutes rate the places that they go to.
Yeah, come here for a
so
good
I
time.
actually, on the film, I put some of the comments from people who have been there, which were just disgusting, but told you what was happening. So I would film the place, write the comment, and then I just played it to people at work. So that had happened. So that definitely I'm in the place of I do understand this.
Right.
But Redeemed was, it wasn't even then, it was maybe 3 years after, but Redeemed started redM. Which is kind of where the name came from.
How? How did that name come about?
Because, well, what happened was after the board meeting the next morning, I put on LinkedIn, it must have been a Monday, I think. But I put a thing, there was no picture, which is one of the, the rules of the time is you have to put a picture. This was how you post and how you get engagement. So I just said, who wants to give marketing muscle to survivors of sex trafficking? Something like that. It was a brief statement. And there's about in the 50 to 60,000 world of views by the next morning.
Oh, wow.
And it kept going, but it was just that moment was a moment where I was like, oh, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
There was a new coffee shop in town called A Second Cup that was creating spaces for people, was giving money back to survivors and survivor organizations of trafficking. And they had a space. So I just said 5 days later, let's get together. Guessing, I don't know what night it was, but it was one of the nights of the week. But I said, put it out there and said, here's a place, come. And we had about 50 people turned up. I just kind of made it up. So I was kind of like, I definitely was more in that I know how to do this. I know how to gather people. I know how to build groups and how to get stuff done. And I thought these people just need marketing help. So I just gathered people. I set names, department names on the tables. Didn't know if anyone was coming. Everyone turned up. They kind of organized pretty well. Shared out amongst the tables.
Okay.
And then I had Dennis Mark come and talk about Redeemed and trafficking.
Dennis Mark's the founder of
He was,
Redeemed.
well, they're not, technically, what Redeemed became was Dennis and Bobby's work because the home and everything all came out of them. But there was someone like a year or two before them.
Okay.
Somehow they did a
switcheroo.
Sleight of hand on them. And so I think of them as the founders. They would say they're not, but really what it became, they are. So anyway, they shared... most of the room had never heard of trafficking before, and everybody was in, and so I got everyone to organize, and I just said, I can give up one night a month. I can do that. So we did for about 8 months. We ran an event for them. I really thought that was it, and we got a company to do a brand refresh for them, and that was that. I think we called ourselves redM in that time, but it was because of Redeemed marketing, which is what we were doing.
Oh, you shortened Redeemed.
Well, Redeemed sounds religious, so I was like, the early things we learned was if you post on social media about trafficking, our analytics said the only people viewing that are people fighting trafficking. Everyone else doesn't look at that content. So the challenge becomes, this is why I love redM and what we do. It's business people just thinking through a problem. So the digital group was, here's the problem. You use religious, you use scary, all these things that people are doing to get attention.
Off-putting.
Doesn't work.
No thanks.
Doesn't work. So we really came to what's a name we could use that doesn't sound like that.
Not scary, not religious.
Yeah. And not even I don't know what that means.
Innocuous.
Yeah. And that's how we began. In fact, the few people who watched the posts early still remain confused about the two, which is funny. I meet people who go, which is it? Is this the redeemed group? And I'm like, no, it's not the same. But we started, we helped them, and then I think at the end of every year for about 3 years, I would just get the team together and go, listen, I think we're done. We can just stop. Because we
marketed. We did our job.
Yeah, we just helped.
Pat yourself on the back and move on.
But everyone would say, no, this is fun. Like, we like working together. We enjoy the team. Let's keep going. So every year we were kind of repositioning. So the second year we just did awareness. The third year we did a conference. We're in 2020 now, so it's in the middle of COVID.
Right.
So we got a space, kind of faked a conference, I would say. We gathered a bunch of people, filmed a bunch of people on stage. It was both of those years I came out going, this is heavy. Like, to continually be on subject here and just be deep in it is too much for human beings.
It is. It's a lot to digest.
It was, and so that's really the beginning of what we started to form to be. I think at the end of 2020, the Oil and Gas Global Network wanted to give us a big check. And they'd given us a check before, and we just say, just give it to Redeemed. And they finally said, we really want to give you a check because what you're doing, I want to grow that. And so they have ever since. Every month they'll do their event.
OGGN for the win.
And they did it themselves, I think, at first. They were just writing checks. Like, they were just like, we want this to happen. They could see the positivity of awareness. It's just the journey after that of more and more, how do you engage people in a subject they don't want to hear about? And that's really been what we ponder and do all the time. And how do you get the most people possible? So that's kind of the journey. What do you think?
Well, I was going to say you left out. Initially, the very first thing the Redeemed did was they helped Redeemed Ministries do a gala. And we had all these professional business people that normally would have never have gotten involved.
Right.
And they donated their services, and they donated their time. And it was an incredible event. It was really awesome. And it was a success, At the end, it had really worked out good. And everybody's like, what are we doing next? So the two main ideas at the beginning were volunteering and event.
Yeah.
And so we used the interest meeting or we'd have these talks where it'd be you called it, I think, a redM talk.
Red Talks, yeah.
Yeah.
Red Talks.
So people would come, we would have somebody speak, they'd come and they'd hang out and network, so like a business networking event.
Okay.
And then they would come into the room and sit down and hear somebody talk for 20 minutes on what trafficking is, how it's affecting our culture, how it's affecting our world, why this crime is so heinous. That's where we started. And we
also had sign-up sheets. That was part of my ongoing challenge was how do I help these orgs yet not get burned out? And so for that year, we would just say, tell us what you need, and we would make a list and have people sign
Find a
up.
volunteer to do it.
And they would sign off, and I wouldn't even know who they were, but I kept trying to go, how do I not have a lot of work to do here? It wasn't till the end, later that year we were involved in the same gala again, and someone called me and said, you need to come and see this. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't quite my style, the whole thing. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I want to see it.
The gala?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was all very different to something I would do, and I was like, oh. And so I asked Dennis at the time, I'm like, who are all these people? And he goes, well, those are your people.
Those are all the redM people.
I don't know any of them. It was a really big moment for going, and someone who knew me said, you do still have to be involved. You can't just let people do stuff. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. And so we started to go, we're going to have to be more careful about who we hire and what they do.
Intentional.
Yeah. So it changed things a bit, and I think that's when Jess turned up, and she would interview everybody. It was the beginning of, and then Demetrios turns up. He came to one of the Red Talks, and he's like, I want to help. I don't know how.
What's he do now?
What is he officially? He does our finances and our legal. But he's the treasurer, right? He's the treasurer of the organization. But he said, had he not been there, we would have never become a 501c3. It would have not happened. But he just kind of did a structure, and I was like, sure, do a structure of roles. And I was like, we have nobody to fill these roles, but that's cool. And we would gather the leaders for a meal, I think, every month, and we'd talk. And we'd all just work out what can we do. And it was a lot more unstructured at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew we had these roles to fill, and we couldn't quite place them. But Demetrius was the one who said, okay, we're going to set up an organization. This is what he started doing, the paperwork.
Right.
And by the end of that year, I think we were a 501c3, and that changed a lot. And I think for me...
What year was that you guys...
When
2017?
It's 5 years ago now. So 2020, 21. Okay. Must have been 21 that we became
official.
Yeah. And it was a big deal because up until that point, in fact, I was on a podcast around that time, friends of ours, who said, "Do you think this is what you were always meant to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the pinnacle of your life?" And I was like, "No, no."
I just kind of fell into this.
Well, I kind of. In my world, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
I had global operations, I had all sorts of things going on. And for me, it was just a thing I knew what to do. So I didn't feel like it was some calling or big thing. And that's what they were implying was this is the big thing. But at the end of that year...
Your life's work.
Right. At the end of that year, I remember gathering all the business people. I thought we probably should have a gathering of business people to say, this is what we're going to do next year. And now I had that meeting and I completely made up what we were going to do next year. Like it was, I'm just but I remember Jason from IBM was there, and I thought, IBM's in the room. So he asked, well, where is this going? It was a genuine, sweet question of like, where is this going? And I had not thought, in fact, years before people had asked me, where do you think this will go? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just...
We weren't trying to grow some big organization and take in lots of money and have a lot of workers. redM is a solely volunteer. Like he's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer.
Yeah, everyone's a volunteer.
Our leadership,
nobody's paid, right?
There's a sweetness to that when you watch.
And we pay for our own flights when there's a meeting. We either ask somebody to sponsor a restaurant to sponsor it.
No money is
it's
taken.
Out of our,
No, and we said that today. We're the food's out there for people during the podcast.
Craft services,
right? And we asked you, is that covered? And you just said no. I paid for it.
Yeah,
that's what we all do. And Beth's like, well, we do that, but we don't expect everyone to do that. But it's kind of who we are, because every time you don't ask redM money, that's going to survivors. So you always are like, I'm going to cover it.
Nobody wants to mess with the pot that's protecting survivors.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our vibe on everything, is how do we get stuff done? And if someone's turning up and they want to get their costs covered and they have the money to cover it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. We can just cover it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So that's what makes the core good, is a bunch of people who really care.
Mm-hmm.
And we're constantly thinking about how can we help these organizations. And when I saw Jason and he asked the question, I said the words, we're going to change the world. And I decided that has to be that big if we're going to engage large corporations. If we just go, we're going to help a few people here and there.
We're a tiny little local 501c3.
Right. And so I said it, and that was the same meeting that Mercy came down, because I said to everyone, you all have gifts and skills. And I love this conversation because I didn't know Mercy at all. And she goes, hi, I'm a flamenco dancer. And it's, I've said this a million times, but at the time I'm being my stupid self. And I just was like, me too. I'm a flamenco dancer. And her face, she's so serious about flamenco dancing. It was very funny to me, because it's just me. And she goes, really? I'm like, no, I'm not. I've never met.
Only in a kilt.
Only in a kilt. It was a nice moment, because this idea that everyone has something valuable.
Right.
And she made that into something very quickly, and people do.
Mothering skills.
Yeah, it doesn't. Everyone's
flamenco
got
dancing.
Something, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I started to realize I have a network and a voice and a position.
Right.
And that's, I think it's in one of the videos we did around that time, where I started down on me, like, I can do the thing I can do. Right. People watch me. People are paying attention. I can talk about this subject where other people couldn't.
Right.
But everyone has something like that. Everyone has things they bring to the table. And it's just such a joy to work with positive people who all have something to offer. The studio, Anthem. I mean, these people just were like, what can we do? Well, we have a podcast. Okay, then let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
So everyone chipping in, giving from what they just have, that's just normal to them and not hard to do. You said early, but I love 2020 exhibits, because our first event that we did, I remember asking Julie Hayes. She eventually became on the team for a while, but Julie, I think I worked with Julie on doing booths around the world, and so we were talking about this event. And normally these organizations are scraping to put these things together.
Right.
But I mean, I'm like, could you do like the graphic design? We got this whole idea. And so I didn't really know if they had a graphic design team, but they did.
Yeah.
But the whole multiple birds thing, the new logo, and I kept asking them. I was a bit cheeky, because they'd say, well, we can do a projector. I'm like, yeah, but you can do that giant bright screen that you have. Like, you could do that. And she was like, yeah, we
Come
could.
on, you can do
So
that.
they did so much that first time. They had drop down banners. They brought in cranes. Like, it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at it going, how much
impressive.
did this cost? So afterwards I felt bad, and I said, hey, I need to ask, you've been really helpful here, but is this it? Or is there more? Or what's the limit here?
Yeah.
She goes, well, I asked my boss, and he said, just give them what they want.
Nice.
And he
Isn't
just
that
loves the
great?
cause. And 7 years later, still to this morning,
Yeah.
delivering stuff. It's amazing how people are moved by the subject, We love it. And it's so important to do. It's so the one thing, if you talk to anyone who's been trafficked, what they were told to traffic them is no one cares about you.
Right.
They push them away from their families. They say, your families don't care. Nobody cares about you.
Total isolation.
And I love that part. Everyone's in because of that, but when we do care package builds and we have people handwrite notes, for me it's just because I know, and I've seen the faces of people who believe that nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because you sit and go, I know thousands who care. And I love that. I love to be able to say that, and it's true.
Yeah.
There are thousands who care about
Absolutely.
you. And so when someone handwrites a note, it's so deep and so to the wound that has gone on.
Yeah.
That you're just nothing. So
Right. It is
I love
impactful
it.
to hear that you're loved and that
Yeah.
you're cared for, even if it's from a stranger in a
Right.
care package
And
that was assembled.
right, and
out
they're
of
told no
business
one
meeting.
does, but
Yeah.
yet these people took time to do that.
It's very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing what you guys have built. And, we can't cover everything in, this amount of time, but just knowing the impact that you guys have, the wave that you guys have created is just amazing. And I, like myself and so many people that I work with on a daily basis volunteering, if you guys didn't have this organization, I literally wouldn't know what trafficking is.
Yeah.
I thought it was the movement of people across borders
Right.
for labor, and I knew loosely, but I didn't know until I came to an info session, and at Second Cup, and I was like, oh my gosh, and that's when I was struck. I was immediately like you were struck at that conference.
Yeah.
Seeing David talk about seeing the numbers on the screen. We have monthly info sessions now,
Right.
and I've even given them before,
Yeah.
and just knowing how impactful for me that was, like that is what we need to share.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to know, and that's what we are. We're a social awareness movement, and the fact that you guys have created that is just amazing. So
I
thank you
really
both.
like the fact that we're reaching a group that was unreached, which is business people.
Yeah, I'm too
Because-
busy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The B2B element is really funny, because what happens is businesses meet businesses, professionals meet professionals.
Yeah.
They do great work together. But on the side, they're getting to know people who are just good people, and they end up doing business together, hiring each other. And it is
Absolutely.
not the point at all.
Yeah, it's
Although
an amazing byproduct
It's
of
a
it.
byproduct,
Yeah. So
I
many
also-
byproducts from this organization that are just huge
Yeah.
trickle down effects that
I like the
impact
fact
so
that
many people.
don't have to feel heavy about, like,
Yeah.
you better be a volunteer and never quit. Like,
Right.
if you get tired or if it's too much or there's things going on at home with your family,
Yeah.
you need to
Bow
need to
out.
focus there.
Yeah.
Great. Just
That's
there's
is.
an open door. So
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's a revolving door. Somebody
Right.
goes away and comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
But the not needing money was the core of the message. We were part of a church at the time where it was being built by these millennials who were, and then we met David Batstone.
Darn
and,
millennials.
I know, and David Batstone said to me, this generation, I said, it's in my book. I didn't read your book, David. Sorry.
My bad.
But he said, it's in my book. He said, but he said that this generation will give time. They won't give money. And so I was like, that's how we started. I was just like, I'm just going to create something where we can do free stuff for people.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear the crowdsourcing pro bono thing was kind of our original statement of this is what we're doing. We're gathering together to give stuff that would have cost millions for nothing, because we can do that. And that working together is just amazing. So it's really been the goal and the direction is it took a while to work it out. How do we connect people with the subject and with each other in what now is probably the only subject that it doesn't create separation between people. Everyone agrees that this is the wrong thing. I don't care your politics or religion or whatever.
No matter what your belief system is.
In humanity, this is wrong.
We're like hyper focused right now because there's this new development, because human trafficking just keeps evolving, and they're now just online reaching your kids through the games they play, through the websites they go to,
hanging out on Roblox, on Bible apps,
wherever.
Yeah.
That was a shocking case, that the Bible app, it has a part of the Bible app where you can actually have chats and meet people and talk. But obviously it was meant to be talking about the Bible. But somebody had reached out to a young teenage girl, underage minor, and had chatted with her and then said, let's do further. And she didn't even have a phone.
Yeah.
But she
it was
borrowed
her mom's
kids.
app,
On her mom's Bible app.
Yeah, so it is. And so
prolific.
And that's most of where we engage. I love that when we gather 30 people, usually one person in that crowd's kid is being groomed. And when we describe the behavior of grooming, someone will go, this sounds like my child.
Yeah.
And then 100% so far of those cases were someone being groomed by a trafficker. And so we've been able to intervene and help parents back the child out. That's what we see the most. A few years back, we weren't even thinking this, but it just started to happen. One of our board members' kids was trafficked, and that was a big shocker to them. And they took a break. And
someone in the anti-trafficking space's child.
Well, and she said, and most people say, had I not been at a redM event, this would have looked like something else, and I wouldn't have understood.
Right.
And that's when it's
just
worth
like a bad boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or a bad girlfriend.
Yeah, something off to teenage angst and move on.
That's the open door we get, is people people want to know. They want to know, how can I be aware of it? How can I stop it? How can I protect kids? And stranger danger as we knew it.
It's very different.
It's the opposite, is that most of the cases, they know the person, and the traffickers have a system and a way, and to us it just looks like relationships.
Yeah. It's amazing that we're able to educate people and get that information across.
Yeah.
And, like through our Action Speaks program, we're able to reach people at companies throughout the world and tell them, like, hey, this is what's going on. And that awareness is huge. And like you said, giving the bags, the survivor care kits, and then receiving them and having that handwritten note from a business professional.
Right.
And just that impact.
There's two. There's the survivors get them, but also people who are being trafficked.
Right.
And that's really powerful to think I could reach someone who is being trafficked
and
I'm telling them the opposite story.
Yeah.
That I care.
You're not worthless.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm really excited about is that we are doing in conjunction with A21, we're getting to do this film that they've put together, which is awareness for parents and underage minors. What is it called? The Global
Summit?
The Global Summit.
Yeah, good job.
I'm thinking, I don't know the name of this thing, and when you said global, I said summit.
Yeah,
nailed
global,
it.
It's called the A21 Global Summit.
We're meant to be right there. It's a great pair. Yeah, so the A21 Global Summit, we're putting that in conjunction
this is Thursday
with our monthly
week.
meeting. Yes, it's on the 13th. And it's crazy because, we've had these monthly meetings for how long? For 7 years?
Yeah. Not since the beginning, but I would say 5 years.
5 years? Yeah. So for 5 years, we've had a monthly meeting. And right now we're meeting monthly at Puttery on Washington.
Right.
They're amazing to give us that space. But every month we meet new people and new faces. And every month something sticks. And, you know, it's something that we've always said, like, if just one person shows up and one person gets the message, that's all that matters. And we always have more than one person show up. But it's amazing to feel that impact.
It is. I love that. I love that every time it's new people, and it's like waves of people just wanting to get involved.
Yeah,
so,
and they do.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And even if it's just a couple events, we'll take it. We'll
host a cup, do something.
Yeah, we'll take your superpower, whatever it is. Lend us your abilities. We're here for it. Come on down.
Perfect.
Join redM.com. Hit me up. Let's do this. We really appreciate you guys, like the impact that you're making. I know you're both very humble people, and you would never actually like outwardly recognize that you're making an impact, but you've impacted so many people, and I'm just so grateful for it, and I know that so many other people are.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I got to be a part of this.
It's just fun to bring people along. You know, I think fun's a weird word in this space, but it has created a large family of people who care, and it's a joy to be a part of it.
It's something that I would never have expected. Like, I mean, I was looking for somewhere to volunteer, like going to the food bank. Right. And doing different things, rodeo committees, you know, and nothing felt impactful. And then, like, why would you do something with human trafficking? Like, that does not sound like a fun time. When I tell my friends, like, I'm having a great time, these are great people, I'm like, okay, you weirdo. Yeah. But when people come around, like, they get it. Like, they get.
Once you see it.
They get it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And thanks for watching The Movement.